Creative Empowerment. Thank you for joining me today. I'm really excited about this pick a card that we're doing today. It's one about healing for you. Now, I'm going back to my own roots, and what I mean by that is I'm an energy healer. Energy healing is really important for me, and when I started I was making lots of videos about healing, and I really want to go back there. So today we are working on healing for you. So what sort of messages are coming up that you need to pay attention to when it comes to healing in your life? I have 3 piles as always, and if you're new to pick a cards, please take your time to study which pile or piles are calling you, and I'll place some crystals on there to help you as well. I have pile number 1 with the bloodstone, pile number 2 with howlite, and pile number 3 with moonstone, I think, from memory. So take a good look at the 3 piles and see which pile or piles are calling you. If you don't know which pile is calling you, perhaps there is a message in all 3 piles for you. It may not be the whole message, but it may be part of the message. Thank you for being here today. Please like, share and subscribe to my channel for more readings like this. And when you know which pile is calling you, please jump ahead to your reading. I'll see you there. Hi, pile number 1. This is the bloodstone, and it is your reading for today, all about healing for you. Now, each and every pile has these same 2 cards. Now, I already know what these cards are, but I don't feel like we're ready to bring them into the reading for you for right now. So let's have a look at where we're... These are our first 2 cards. Wow, I love your first 2 cards. I really do. So you may be a healer. You may be somebody who is very interested in the healing arts. You may be an energy healer or a more traditional healer, or someone who, as they talk, heals people, a tarot reader, whatever. But you know yourself. You would identify yourself as a healer. I have the cards today. I've got a lot of plant healing. You may also be someone who uses plant medicine or plant healing, or finds being out in nature very, very healing for your soul. Now, I love this card. It reminds me of me in another life, with the red hair and very Celtic, and with working with herbs and things like that. I feel very, very attuned and very at home with this card. Now, there is a lot of wisdom from plants, and this person in this card holds a lot of wisdom. So if you're someone who doesn't feel that already, that's coming in for you, and if you do feel comfortable already with your knowledge and lore, and that word is very, very important for you. Lore could be plant lore, it could be other lore, but you have a lot of knowledge and traditions and information that has been, and ancient knowledge and traditions that has come with you from other lifetimes. So if you are not aware yet, you are a healer, just so that you do know that. And it's time that I turn these cards over now. So your next card here is plantain, and I'm going to come to that in a minute, but now I'm being drawn to bring in these 2 cards. And we have clarity, and the other card is influence, and one's called spiny star and the other one's called sea moonflower, which I just love that name. Now, these cards are coming in now because as we talk about you being a healer, there's some influence coming in for you around that. And what I mean by that is twofold. One could be that you are going to be highly influential with the people that you either mix with or treat or are in the community with, and you feel like a very community-minded person. You feel like pile 1, bloodstone. You feel very community-minded. You feel like you're a person that spreads your influence wide and far. And the clarity here, I feel like that you are blossoming at the moment. Now, you may not feel like you've got everything to give yet at this point, or that that you're able to give everything, and you may not have experienced, or because I'm feeling a little bit breathless, You may not have experienced this complete blossoming yet, and if not, then it is coming. But you are a beautiful flower that, you know, people will be drawn to. I do get a very strong sense of community around you. And there is something people will travel far and wide, it feels like, to get to you. Now, having said that, it may not be physical travel, you know, it may be, you know, we're living in a digital world, so it may be different from that. And this could be your work, or it might not be, you know, it could be something else for you. But you are a healer, and you will heal people in some way, shape or form. Now, plantain. There we've got the stone standing in the back there, and there's all this vertical energy standing up and proud, and also standing away from the crowd is the message that I'm getting. And again, the plantain is in flower, so very similar to the clarity. And I feel like it's like this message here is that it's time for you to stand up. There's a lot of green here, there's a lot of, you know, healing, and it's in your blood. That's like, I'm in my head, I'm going, what's the bloodstone mean for this group? Because it doesn't feel like it means what it normally might to me. And it feels like it's in your blood. It is part of your DNA. It is part of who you are. And as we're moving through a time in you know, history, in the world's history, in the planet's history, where, you know, things are very unstable, excuse me, you are not. You really are not. You may not think you are, like, you know, we all have our personal doubts, but there is part of you that is so strong and so stable and so capable of standing up and being a, you know, a lightning rod. They're the words that I'm getting from Spirit. A lightning rod for other people. Now, that doesn't mean that you start a revolution or anything like that. What it can mean is that you show yourself up as an example to others. And that's really what this feels like. This influence for you is very much about you doing your own personal healing on yourself and healing others, and being an example as someone who's living their best life, or the life of their choosing, in the best way that they possibly could. Okay, I want to bring that card out too. Okay. So we have kangaroo paw, which is about forgiveness, and lantern bush, which is about challenge. So here, this is where I feel your healing challenge may be coming up for you. Now, forgiveness is a really difficult, challenging aspect for some of us, not for all of us. I find it challenging, let's put it that way. And I feel that is this challenge for you, that it's standing in the way of your happiness currently, and that is what your healing work needs to focus on. As I said, you are a healer. You may be, or you are, this lightning rod for other people. And for you to continue to deepen your own healing and not for others. You're not doing this part of healing for others. This is for your own personal happiness. That, you know, you may have some wounds or some unhealed aspects that could really benefit from you focusing on those at this point in time. This could be from teenage years. This has got a feeling for me. Kangaroo paw is all about feeling like you don't fit in. So if it's not your teenage years, then that's fine. This is a group reading, so it's group energy. If you'd like a private reading, there is a link in the description box below. But kangaroo paw is about feeling like you don't fit in, that everything you do is not right. It's all that sort of stuff. And so for some of you, this could be forgiving your teenage self for doing stupid things, and perhaps that's been a real challenge. Sometimes we can do things and get away with something, or seemingly so, and other times we can do something and we get caught, or it changes our life from doing something. And there feels like something here within your teenage years, or your life as a young adult. And if you're only a young adult, then perhaps you're experiencing this right now. But there is a challenge coming up for you, and it's this kangaroo paw feels to me like it's waving in the wind. It's like, yes, you're moving on, and Spirit wants you to move on, but you can't forget this bit because it won't go away on its own. And you may have done healing work on it. You may have done more healing work on it. This feels to me, and I'm going to bring in some cards because I want to check. So don't rush into this, and make sure that, so there's lots of swords energy here, so it's communication. The other thing is that if you came out of this on top, but you used harsh words or the upper hand to make other people, put them in a worse position, then the gloating or the way that you did it, that's the bit you need to address. So there's quick fire communication here that perhaps was you, perhaps it was someone else. It could be either way here. This is the energy that's presenting in a group reading. It's hard to know, but this is what this energy here is talking about. This thing that needs healing is rushing in too quickly, thinking like you were, like, too cocky is the word that I really want to talk about. Feeling like you knew all the answers, and when we're teenagers, we do that. So this could be with a parent or a parental figure, or someone who was probably a little bit older and wiser than you, or more experienced, and you went in half cocked. You went in, and I'm using a lot of that word, so just calling that out as well. But this is, very communication based, very cutting, very quick, and not thinking, not feeling, a lot of that sort of stuff happening. And it does feel like you're, younger period of time. This is a challenge for you to actually look at this very, very openly and honestly. And it will affect your own happiness going forward, because it's a lesson that we need to learn from. As a healer, that's something that you would completely understand. Okay, so interesting cards here. We have the Chariot, the Death card, and then we have the Three of Cups. Now, the Three of Cups can mean many, many different things, but here showing up at the end, what it's showing me is, and it's got a goddess symbol on it, this particular Three of Cups. So I feel like this is karmic, whatever this was. This was quite a karmic lesson, or is a karmic lesson for you to resolve. So it won't go away without you resolving it. That's why I said that kangaroo paw, it's like waving, waving, waving. You need to come back to it. It will give you a big, big change in your own work. So that's a really interesting message from Spirit there, that it is that when you come to this understanding for yourself, it's really weird message. It's like you're going to fill up a portion of that sort of eternal, the eternity symbol. It's like at the moment, part of that puzzle is missing for you, and your belief or your beliefs around death and rebirth, about safe passage to the underworld or the other side. There's something here around that, and it's really confusing and it's very specific, so it may or may not relate to you, and I'm not going to clarify it any further, because sometimes those messages just need to be exactly as they are. But this is coming up very quick for you. This is coming up very quick for you to be balanced, because there's some greater work that you need to work through. As I said, these cards in the beginning, they're very much about who you are and where you're going. You are a healer and you're going to great heights. But the thing about it is, you can't you can't move forward. It's like I'm just being shown, you know, the idea of if you have a ball and chain around your ankle, it's like, and it's the left ankle, you can't move forward in life having one of your ankles chained back to this particular situation. So a very, very specific message for you, pile 1. I hope this message makes sense for you, and I hope that you're able to see this healing challenge that you're going through a different lens, so that you're able to move beyond it. Please, I'd love to know in the comments below if this related for you, and yeah, anything else you'd like to mention. But the way through this is working through it because it's related to your happiness. Thank you for being here. If you'd like a private reading with me about your personal situation, please make sure to follow the link in the description box. See you next time. Bye for now. Hi there, pile 2. If you chose the howlite, the white howlite, then this is your reading today, all about healing for you. Now, each of the piles have these 2 cards here, which I'll bring in when I'm, told to, basically. We're using a lot of flower and plant healing in these readings today. Your first card is Juniper in the reverse, and the next card is Mistletoe standing upright. And I'm being called to turn these cards over now, and we have Influence and Clarity. So this Juniper card is, both of these cards have berries. So Mistletoe has a berry and Juniper has a berry, and they're both very similar, in shape and size. And, well, at least they are on this card because they're both more so Northern Hemisphere plants, even though we might have them in Australia, they're not common. But what I'm really noticing about the Juniper card is about how the plant is growing low and wide and then growing up through the middle of 2 sort of divisive elements, or, 2 sides of something. So I feel like you could be going through the healing process of learning to love yourself, learning to learn from yourself. And this is all about listening to other people's opinions and beliefs, and really focusing on what you think. And there is this divine self coming through. And I feel like that this has probably been quite a journey for you and quite hard, but I feel like that you're on your way, well on your way. And the Mistletoe is a card of lighting the lights. It's about the return of the light. And this card is about, a community or a group of people lighting the light from one aspect of light. So for me, this is talking to you about sort of conquering your own fears when it comes to who you are. And that's a very big statement, and howlite is a great stone for calming, anxiety and things like that. And I feel like you may have been through quite a bit of anxiety and quite a lot of, it feels quite cold. It feels cold in the sense that you may have felt like you were out in the cold because either people didn't know how to communicate with you, or you didn't know how to communicate with people. And so you have listened to too many other people. You have sided with others instead of believing in your own wisdom and your own self. And here we have the Influence card, which is talking about how you may have been over-influenced by other people. You may not have seen your own spark, your own light. You may not have seen your own clarity of thought and seen yourself as a light that other people may be influenced by. There's a big moth here on this card, and the moth is being drawn to this big flower, which is a sea moon flower. We have 2 types of moons in these cards, and they're both the same, the sickle moon. And I'm not sure if they're just after the new moon or at the end of the cycle. But it feels like there's change coming for you, and I'm not sure, because this is a group reading, I'm not sure if you're well into the change, starting the change, or finishing the change, and for each and every one of you, you'll be in a different position. But there is quite a lot of change coming about self-criticism and who you are within yourself. And we have violet nightshade, which is power, and lemon myrtle, which is space. So some very busy energy in that lemon myrtle there, where it talks about space, and the violet nightshade, the power, really makes me think of this card here. It's similar in shape and what they're doing, opening up to the world. And I feel like that's what you're doing in your healing at the moment, is that you're befriending yourself. You're learning to befriend yourself. The other card here is abundance, a big bright red card. So I am a limitless being and I can manifest whatever I desire in this physical reality. And that is a great card for you, because it's abundance, and abundance can be about all those, physical things, but abundance happens on many, many levels. And I really love this idea that you're lighting a light. There's this light within you that is shining, and perhaps your light has been under a bushel. You've been hiding yourself, but it's time that your light shine a bit more, that you give yourself the space. But it's space within community. It's not space where you understand your own power and you stand up on your own. It's not that kind of thing. This is support around you. So this is you within a community. And a lot of these readings have had this community element in them in some way, shape or form. To some degree, others have had more. But this is about you standing up in your own power and in your own place that is right for you. Very, very interesting cards. Oh, goodness. So we have the Two of Cups, we have the Ace of Pentacles, and we have the Tower. Tower's upright. They're all upright, actually. You've got the most upright cards out of all of the cards, out of all the groups, sorry. So the Two of Cups, underneath this self-criticism, underneath this power, it's talking about the blending of, of some energies, whether that be in a relationship, whether that be in a partnership, whether that be within yourself, that you're allowing, the shadow and the light side of you to come together. It could be many, many things. This card here doesn't always talk about relationships, but it does talk about that filling of cups, and it's about balance. And that's what I really feel here underneath this juniper and the violet nightshade, which is power. I feel like this is about you balancing the energies within you, because this first card I talked about the energies around you being divisive and pulling you in different directions, and the juniper being you, standing up for yourself. And this idea of the mistletoe and it's about that whole idea of the rebirth of the light. So it's a rebirth. It's knowing that the mistletoe is, around the peak of winter. So it knows that the return of the light, because you're now moving towards summer. So this is that idea that, I did talk about that cold energy. So perhaps whatever has been kind of frozen or, stuck in your life might be coming unstuck. And it's very much around your self-worth and who you are as a person, and not allowing yourself to go into those old patterns of self-criticism, giving yourself the space to grow within a community. Now we have the Ace of Pentacles here, and the Ace of Pentacles feels like a promise. It feels like what is inside you is almost promised to you. What I mean by that is that it's like the things that are inside you, you're able to share now. And you've had this promise within you from a child, I feel, like from a really early age. You may have been one of those people who've known that you're here to do something, but you didn't know how to do it. You know that you're here to bring something to people, but you didn't know how to bring it. So this is that bringing of the light. but it's also the bringing of an idea. It's bringing it onto the earth plane, which I love. So we have some real tangible things that are happening here, some balance coming into your life, you bringing through a new opportunity for self or for others and into a community. The last card here we have is the Tower. Now the Tower is sitting underneath the influence and the clarity. So I feel like the Tower here is talking about, how you can move in either direction, because the Tower is reminding me that this first card over here in there, they're on the polar opposites on this line through here. It's talking about how self-criticism is a lonely journey, but also one that can be prolonged, because it's all about the self and it's all about learning from, these very, very difficult healing aspects of self-criticism, because they probably came from somewhere. But the Tower here is talking about letting that go. The foundations of the Tower are built on unstable ground. So this self-criticism, this belief or disbelief of the power of the self, of the ability to be in your own power and to be balanced in that power and be in abundance in your life. This abundance is bringing in the Ace of Pentacles. It's about you understanding that whatever is showing up in your life at the moment, it's not built on stable ground. It is meant to topple over. And the toppling over may be the healing crisis, may be the thing that you don't really want to happen, because, the Tower moments are never great moments in our lives. But the good thing to know is a bit of foresight when the Tower is coming. And I don't mean that so that you become panicked. What I mean is that it's a time of transformation. It's a time of soul's growth. And we have butterflies and we have moths here, or a moth. We also have birds. There's a lot of high dimensional frequency around you that is leading you to this self-healing process. And you may be someone who doesn't know how to heal this aspect for themselves. And perhaps that's where you need to connect into this community. But you do need some space around you. And what I mean by that is some time, some place. You might need to find yourself a really quiet place to go and walk or be. Because you're tapping into your own power. It's really interesting with this spread, the way it's come out. There's some strong pulls and energy connections to other things. You need the space to tap into your own power to bring the abundance into your life. You need to tap into this community, which is what I keep calling this card here, which is not what it's called, to be able to share your light and to be able to share these ideas you have. But you need to be in your own power. You need to let go of this self-criticism, because it's not built on strong foundations. To be in balance, then you're bringing this clarity and the influence that you can have in this community. This is a beautifully, very synchronistic and tied energies that I'm seeing in this reading for you. You may wish to get a piece of howlite. It's very calming. There is a blue form as well, and you may be attracted to that as well. But there is a big change coming for you. The Tower moment is talking about a big change. There is a transformation. There is there's kind of like a spreading of energy, so that you can then, it's not like you go back to ground zero, but it's like you let things fall and see where the dust settles, and then make sure the foundations are right before you then build again. But when you do, it's balanced. You're then able to bring this thing through. Now, Tower moments don't have to be life disruptive. They can be in one element in our life. And for me, what this is talking about is you and your self-criticism. So this is having a good, hard look at yourself and understanding where the criticism may have come from. Follow it back. Notice where some of the things you tell yourself, where do they come from? Where does that voice come from? Which side of your head does it come from? There's a masculine and feminine side of the body. There's all these things that we can start to look at ourselves, to unpack it. And while these Tower moments don't feel that great, know that it's going to get rid of the stuff you don't need. It's like if you have a look at your wardrobe or your closet and you've got a whole heap of stuff in there that doesn't fit you anymore. And you hang on to it, thinking that your body's going to change, and you may have had it for a few years. Get rid of it. you can always buy new stuff later on. Even if you can't afford to buy new stuff, you can go and find some stuff that's appropriate for you at a later date when it's appropriate, instead of hanging on to the old energy of what you know. And this is the way that you're bringing the new stuff into your life, the abundance and this beautiful balance and this newness, this new project, this new opportunity, this new way of being in the world that's very much at home in the world. Thank you so much for being here at pile number 2. If you would like a private reading, there is a link in the description box below. Thank you for liking, sharing and subscribing to my channel if you're so inclined. Hope to see you in the future. Bye for now. Hi there, pile 3. If you chose the Moonstone, this is your reading today. Now, each and every pile has these 2 cards, and they're going to apply differently for each and every one of the piles, but they're not for yet, and I'll be Spirit's telling me when to use these cards. Okay, so I have a lot of a building up of energy looking at these cards. Okay, there's a lot of building up coming. The Ivy card here is about the full moon, and you have the Moonstone. So the moon could play a very, very important part for you. Celtic Bean, on the other hand, is talking about you sectioning off your life. So, you know, having a piece of your life over here, another piece here, another piece here, not letting everybody see who you truly are. Now, there are 2 parts of your life. There's possibly 3, but at least there are 2. And one part of your life is very restricted and, you know, like if you think about a lawn, it's highly maintained, let's put it that way. And you're growing on that side. You're growing on the highly maintained side, and you're growing really freely, abundantly, and, you know, lots of flowers and good growth. However, you're limiting yourself. The other side of your life is much more open and fertile, and so it feels like you're containing yourself. You're stopping your own abundance. Pigs and sows in particular are very much about abundance. They're about gratitude. They're about, you know, having everything you need, that mothering kind of energy around you. There's community on the other side. There are green pastures and open fields, and there's a beautiful mountain there to support it. On the side that you're growing on, the side that you're keeping yourself in, it's smaller, it's more contained. There's less there for you. So it's really interesting to note how you're living your life at this point. And this is reminding me of the Shadow Self video that I did recently. If you haven't watched that, there's you'll find it if you go to the channel. I'll try and remember to link it below. But there feels like a shadowy part of you that's really calling out to be really heard and seen, really seen. That's what I was talking about, this building of energy coming up in your life at the moment. This full moon is really wanting to illuminate. It's being clouded over by the clouds in this particular image, but it's wanting to be heard, wanting to be seen, wanting to show up in your life. And the ivy here can be overwhelming. So ivy is all-consuming and can, you know, annihilate everything else. That it can be, you know, like it can have a tree as a host and it can annihilate it. And what I feel here is that there's some very strong energies within you that are coming up to be healed and to be balanced out, and you're not listening. So it feels like almost like a tidal wave of emotions that want to come out and over, because the side that you're living on is quite dark. And when I say that side you're living on, the bit that you feel is normal, that you feel is where you need to be, and I'm going to use all these need and shoulds, and it's all that sort of wording for you. But it's repressing a very big part of who you are. And like I said, you are blossoming here. You may be thinking, what is she talking about? She doesn't know me and all that sort of stuff. But what I'm seeing here is that there's much more growth for you to be had if you allow both sides of yourself equal reign, balancing them out a bit more, not containing them and pushing them down, and not connecting to community. This is a strong connection of the other side connects with community, has strong foundations, has a big wealth of abundance available to you. This other side, not so much. No, we're not going to bring those in yet. I'm going to bring in these cards and this one. Now, I'm feeling really ungrounded looking at these cards for you. We have Cattle Bush, Persistence, and we have Rock Rose, Acceptance. Oh, I love that. We're talking about this division, and these cards are, and they're in the same, so we're talking about a real divide between you. And here we have persistent. You're being persistent in keeping this divide going in your life. And the other card here, which is Ivy, Sydney Rock Rose, is all about universal love and accepting love of the universe and within the self. It's just about love that you just can't hold back. It's very abundant. It's very all-encompassing. And this acceptance is for you to accept that, you know, that this is how you feel in your life, that it is time to move beyond this, the structure that you have in place at the moment, because it is hampering your success in life. This is in the reverse. I know that there is no greater goal than to love. And I love that, because this is all about love, and it's about self-love and loving yourself so much that you're willing to allow this part of you that feels like it's too much, that it's going to, you know, overtake the rest of your life, allowing it, accepting that it's going to come through you, and it does feel like it's going to come through you, that it's a connection point to other people, it's a connection point to a different life that you are keeping yourself back from. Now it's time to bring these two cards in for you. And we're going, one is influence, and again I feel like that there is a big influence here with community. So perhaps you're in a community at the moment that keeps you pending, that stops you from connecting with other people. Perhaps you're feeling isolated, and there could be that here too, that there could be an isolation thing, that you're feeling isolated from your community, from someone else doing that to you, or you doing it to yourself. And then the clarity card, which is Sea Moonflower. I've got such really bad lighting here. It doesn't look it on the camera, but the lighting, what I'm looking at, I'm like, I can barely see. So the clarity, again, we've got a sort of a sickle moon coming in there. But I feel like this is, and I want to link this to your shadow self again, because I feel like your shadow self is really teaching you some things here. It's teaching you that without acknowledging those parts of you that you think are terrible, that you think are, not worth showing to anyone else, without acknowledging those and embracing them and loving them and accepting them, they're going to persist. They're going to persist to annoy you and to cloud your vision, to not let you see how wonderful you are. And when you're able to accept your own beauty and this other side of you, there's going to be a big turnaround. But let's have a look what we've got here. Wow. They're all in the reverse except for the last card. So very interesting. So we have the Queen of Wands, the King of Wands, whoa, and the Two of Wands. Very interesting cards, all in the reverse. And the last card is the Sun, which I love. Now we have two court cards, which could be people. This actually could be people if you're a younger person, or actually it doesn't really matter. But these could be people that are controlling you, in a sense, that you're in this position because you don't have any choice, because you're still living at home, or that your parents are still very much in your life. So that this is what these could be. These could be, Wands' actual personalities. These could be bosses or people who play those kind of roles in your life. For others of you, this is you pushing down part of you. And this is what it feels, this feels the strongest for most of you, because the other part of this is, and if you're working on healing yourself, then you'll be open to this idea, is that metaphysically, if we're having a problem with a female or a male in our own lives, it's showing us a part of ourselves. So you can look at it the way it's mirroring back to you something in traditional Chinese medicine, in the Qigong, which is something that I teach. It's all about the fact that if you're having a problem with feminine energy or male energy, then it's part of yourself that you're working on. So it could be that you're working on an aspect of the fiery feminine within you, or the fiery masculine within you. So either way, it doesn't really matter, but what this is, it's like this is the underpinning for all of this work that you're doing on yourself. It's the foundation of where this is coming from. So perhaps you're being restricted by others, or perhaps you're restricting yourself. It really doesn't matter. It's going to continue until you start to accept this situation. The Two of Wands here is you dreaming of something else, and it's sitting below the Success card. Again, it's in the reverse, so I feel like you're being the message that I got was more so that your decision making around something to move forward is being sort of turned on its head. I'm being shown the car very, very specifically in this message, but it's upside down. So it could be that you are physically unable to get out of the situation that you're in at the moment. You know, I'm in lockdown currently, so, you know, we completely understand the world that we're living in. But this to me is also talking about bringing this clarity to this situation. So if you're in denial or overwhelm of a part of you and you don't acknowledge it, it's like you'll never see your way past it. You'll never be able to move beyond it. You won't be able to make decisions based in your own power, because this is a card of powerful, you know, knowing who you are. It's like, I know this part of me, and that's me looking towards the future and towards different horizons, planning for the future. But this card, when it's like this, is like you don't know how to make a decision because there's too many things that are clouding your decisions, which is very much that ivy, that whole idea of overwhelm, part of you overwhelming. Every decision that you're making, very much about, you know, your own personality. So this is very much about you making decisions for you, about you, and in your own interests. And that's very much out of balance at the moment. But the last card we have here is the Sun. Now, the Sun is a beautiful card to get in any reading, and especially at the end. So at the end of all of this, or when you've come to realise, when you've come to accept that this other part is a very big part of you and let it come into the light, then the Sun, you know, connects you with Spirit. The Sun allows you to live your best life. You feel very free and you're not contained by these energies anymore. And there feels it's a very strong connection to Spirit with this card when this card comes in. Very strong, real, you know, connected to the crown and connected above. And this is when you know you don't need. Now I'm going to reverse these cards because that's how they need to be. So we have the Knight of Pentacles. This is you, you know, knowing what you're worth is the feeling that I'm getting from that. But you're only learning that. You're only beginning to learn it. Then we have the Hierophant. This is you listening to other people, telling you what to do. This is you leaving that situation. And the last one is you being who you truly are, which is someone who's self-sufficient and capable to look after themselves. Now those last four cards came out all in one go. I'm not going to do a heap of work with them because they're just redefining this in case you're in case the message wasn't clear enough. There's something that you need to let go. It doesn't necessarily mean you need to move away from it. Well, actually it does. But what I mean, it may not be a physical move, but it could do, because we do have the Two of Wands here. But you will find that when you start listening to your own guidance, and I mean, you know, the one that comes from your higher self in the spirit world. When I say the spirit world, it's your higher self, your guides, not just from random people. Then you'll actually be here. Look at all the sun here. Look at all the yellow. This is all about your self-esteem. This is all about you knowing you can be a success and finding your own way there. Accepting who you are and finding your success yourself. So a big call here with the healing work that you're doing. Thank you, Pile 3. Thank you for being here. This is a heavy-hitting message for you. If you would like a personal message that's focused only on your life, there is a message in the link. There is a link in the description box below. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more readings like this. Hope to see you in the future. Bye for now.